Good morning, everyone. As Niall said, I'm here today. I'm an air quality specialist with the Ambient Air Quality Unit in the EPA. And the last couple of years, the term Life Emerald I've become has lodged itself in my head in terms of the project that I've been working on, and it is. Basically, what I'm going to do today is just give you an overview of Life Emerald, the Life Emerald project, and the main first output of the Life Emerald project being the forecast, which launched on Friday the 3rd of November. Life Emerald itself is the main objective of the Life Emerald project is to strengthen air quality management in Ireland. And to ensure the implementation of the EU ambient air quality directives. The project itself, we applied, we decided to go to the EU LIFE program for funding for the project. We applied in 2019, and the Emerald part of LIFE stands for Emission Modelling and Forecasting of Air in Ireland. We got funding in 2020, and the project itself kicked off in January 2021. It's a 3.5-year project, and it's with our final outputs from the project being released next year in June 2024, and the project itself will officially end in the end of September 2024. It's 1.6 million worth of a project, and 52% of that has been given to us through the EU LIFE project, with the rest being funded by the Irish government. We ourselves are the coordinating beneficiary, the EPA, and we have a number of close associated beneficiaries, or our main stakeholders. They are the Asthma Society of Ireland, the Department of the Environment, the HSE, UCC, and VITO. And VITO are a Belgian company, a Belgian research group based in Belgium and in Flanders, and they are I suppose the specialists in air quality modelling, and they helped us produce the main tools at the outputs of the project. We also have dealt with a whole host of other stakeholders in the Irish environment on air quality as well. The main deliverables from the Life Emerald project are a 3-day forecast for Ireland, as mentioned. We have the next one, and I will explain a little bit more about these next two in further slides. The next one will be a nowcast map for the country, and then the production of annual historical maps, as Micheál had mentioned earlier as well. And so we have a whole host of other deliverables as well, as a lot of these EU projects are. And very quickly, we will have a spatial representative study of our air quality network. We have an air quality dashboard, which we have at the moment, which is an in-house dashboard to help us manage the outputs of the project. We have done a number of measurement campaigns, and as Micheál said earlier as well, one of those is detailed out in one of the posters there when we did a low-cost sensor network measurement in Dungarvan to help us get some idea of the granular information in relation to PM in our smaller towns. And a huge part of any of these projects is outreach and dissemination, and you may have seen on social media and outlets throughout the last couple of years, we've mentioned Life Emerald and our outputs. But so, busy project, lot in it. I suppose today we are looking at the main the outputs, and the first of those being the daily forecast. The outputs themselves are generated through a system, an air quality modelling system called Atmosis, and that was originally developed by VITO, who I mentioned earlier, through an EU project. And the Atmosis system itself comprises of a host of air quality modelling models. And for our daily forecast, we use 2 of these models. And again, this is a busy slide, but basically what the air quality forecast is produced by a system, we call it OPAC Pi. And it consists of two separate models, a forecasting model at each forecast station. So we forecast at each air quality station. So we have 114 stations around the country, 115 by the end of the year. And we forecast the air quality at each station. And then what we do then is, and we use a model called OVL to do that. OVL has a number of different inputs, including meteorological parameters and chemical transfer modeling forecasts information, as well as historical information to train the model, and European forecasts that are available as well. What we then do is we interpolate. We use a regional scale model called RIO, and that basically interpolates between each of our stations to give us our forecasts. And in that interpolation model, there are a number of spatial drivers, including land cover and topography and population density. And again, and we also use near real-time observations from our network to produce the maps. Basically, in training the forecast models in OPAC, for each, we are producing models for PM10, PM2.5, NO2, and ozone. And we use a number of different stations depending on, we are lucky in Ireland, we actually have one of the densest networks of air quality measurement in Europe. And we're very lucky that we have such a dense network, because that helps us refine our model and make our model as accurate as it can be, and our forecast as accurate as it can be. So, and what we are effectively producing every day, twice a day, we get air quality maps for forecast maps for today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. And we also use a tool then, I suppose you go, well, we have these forecast maps, how good are they, and how do you assess them? So we use a system called Delta Pi. The Delta tool is a JRC, or a European tool that is used for all forecast models and all air quality models in Europe to test how accurate the model is. And basically what you're doing is you're testing, well, how good was the model in predicting what was observed? So this is what Delta Pi helps us do. We basically take our model outputs, we put it into Delta Pi, and we get outputs in terms of how good our model has been. So one indication would be this target plot in terms of the red dots are the modeled model outputs for each of the stations, and then how close to the center of that target plot it shows how accurate our model had been in terms of producing or in terms of the quality of the model. And we also get at station level, then we get specific information in terms of how our observations how they contrasted against what we observed. And as I mentioned earlier as well, the next phase is our nowcast maps. So at the moment, when you go onto airquality.ie, you see our stations, and you basically see just the blank spaces between the stations. What the nowcast maps will produce is we will fill in the blanks. And as mentioned earlier, we can't measure everywhere. But what we can do is we can provide a near real-time map to show, based on current measurements, what the air quality is within the last hour or so. So these maps will be updated every hour. And you'll also able, like you can do at the moment, is to zoom in and see at the station information as to what the levels of pollutants will be. And then the third phase, which will be delivered by the end of June next year, will be annual historical maps. They're basically annual average air quality maps These are the ones that were shown. We did through another project internally in the EPA. We produced modelling maps for PM 2.5 and NO2 for 2019, and these were shown in our annual report, which for 2022. We showed those in our annual report this year. So basically, we will have these maps as well, but generated through the Atmos system. And again, the idea is that we will have high-resolution maps for our cities, for our major cities, so down to street level in terms of the quality of the mapping that we will produce. So I was going to do a live demo, and hopefully the IT gremlins will play with us. So if you want to switch over. So there's the airquality.ie map as site as it is at the moment. So and when you log in, you will see the current network. If you want to go to the forecast, all you do is you click on the forecast in this widget here. And what's presented is the Air Quality Index for Health maps. So the Air Quality Index for Health is basically an amalgam of all the air pollutants, and it's a representation of how good the air quality is for the country, and it's the scale of the AQIH that's given here. For further information on the AQIH, if you click on that and go into AQI Air Quality Index for Health, the information there in terms of how to interpret that scale, all the information is in there. But basically, the first maps that you'll see are the AQIH, and you can see those for today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. You can also change the air pollutants, so and look at the specific air pollutants of NO2, ozone, PM10 and PM 2.5, and you also get an indication as to when the maps were generated as well. So that one was generated this morning after 10 o'clock. I suppose the usefulness of these maps, these are maps looking into the future. And while the main AQIH map is basically driven by whatever main pollutant is at its highest level, at its higher level. What we see is normally ozone has an effect on that, and if you look at the ozone forecast map, it shows a higher level in terms of still good, but in comparison to the levels of say PM10 and PM 2.5. But what this does show with the forecast map, what it does show is that there are areas in the country where PM 2.5 could be elevated. And it gives an idea as to where they could be elevated over the next couple of days, and what the general profile of those pollutants will be. So all the information is there in terms of, I suppose, the whole idea of the project is to get the information out to people. And we hope that the forecast map will help people and will help people to make right decisions for themselves in terms of their own health and the air quality that's out there. So thank you very much.